Welcome to season 2 of the Bigger Than You podcast, your go-to weekly podcast that blends energetics and mindset to help you do whatever it takes to bring your vision to life, whilst having fun on the way. I'm Jenna Holloway, your host and multi-award-winning intuitive hypnotherapist and mindset coach. My purpose is to help mission-led business owners and visionaries who want to inspire change by leading the way in a space that otherwise may feel unnerving and too difficult. This is Bigger Than You. Hello, thank you so much for joining us again. I am really, I know I say this every week, but I am actually, again, really excited to have a guest on the show today. And yeah, I am really excited because our guest, Elise, has just done a masterclass in my group program, Powerhouse Portal. And I experienced her work and it was incredible. So I said, Elise, please come on the show. I want to share this with the listeners. So welcome, Elise.
Thank you very much for having me.
You are welcome. So Elise is a women's transformation coach and she is a breathwork facilitator and embodiment coach. And the work that she does, as I said, I've experienced it firsthand. It's incredible. She has a zesty and sensual approach to lead women to heal and love their relationship with themselves. Welcome, Elise. As I said, how would you define the transformation that your work brings to people?
It's just next level. I'm curious to delve deeper into it with you specifically because I know that you are at a different level to most of the clients I work with. But I just know from my own personal experience and where I was when I first had an introductory taster to breathwork, it was just next level. I don't even know how else to describe it. But I mean, what do you say in relation to that? The same thing? Because
honestly, it was incredible. Let's go back to the beginning. Can you help, like, if the listeners have never heard of what breathwork is, can you share, like, what's breathwork?
Well, breathwork is an umbrella term. It's very broad, and a lot of people, when they hear the term breathwork, instantly opt into pranayama, meditative style breathing, yogic, breathwork. And yes, so because as I said, it's the umbrella term that is breathwork, but the type of breathwork that I facilitate is actually much more activating than what you get from a meditative style sequence or practice. And it's the particular style of breathing is called conscious connected breathing. And it is basically like a workout. It's very intense.
So I'll describe what Elise facilitated for my Powerhouse Portal ladies, and obviously I got in on it too. So we had 20 minutes. First of all, we were lying down, and we had our eyes closed, and so we were taught to breathe like deep. What was the phrase you used? Deep,
diaphragmatic, or low, slow, and deep.
Low, slow, and deep. Yeah. So breathe into your tummies, and then like when your breath goes, like expands fully, then it will lift your chest as well, right? And then you taught us to not pause at the top, but then just let that breath out through your mouth. So in, deep, out, literally over and over and over and over again. And you warned us that like your brain, like the thoughts might try and distract you, but stay committed. And the whole time, so Elise played music and she encouraged each of the members by name as we were doing this. She encouraged us all the way. My experience with those first 20 minutes were fine. Like I've done a lot of work on myself and meditate quite frequently as well. So like I can get into that meditative state pretty quickly and I didn't have like the distracting thoughts coming in, but I can imagine that it would be. So Elise really encouraged us through those 20 minutes to just keep going. And I don't know this for sure because I'm not a breathwork facilitator, but hopefully, Elise, you can kind of back me up on this. It's like takes 20 minutes for the analytical mind, the one that's kind of trying to distract you, to just switch off, basically.
Yeah. The prefrontal cortex, the chatter, the monkey mind, the busyness that we all experience. And unfortunately, most people, as you said, are not at a level where they're conscious or aware of it. So what is that freeway of thoughts and chatter that is constantly going on in your mind? Yeah, it takes that good first 20 minutes, which is why I likened it to a workout,
Mm-hmm.
because you have to be committed.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's similar, same as hypnosis, turns off your analytical mind. And so your subconscious becomes very receptive to anything that is said then. So we did the first 20 minutes. So my experience personally with this, like, honestly, it was so mind blowing. I remember feeling like energy in my fingertips, and I feel that quite often anyway. Like, I'm really in touch with myself, my body, my intuition, and all these things. But this was a different level. This was like literally my whole hands were like buzzing. And yeah, I could feel that so powerfully. And like my third eye was like properly, really strongly purple. And yeah, at the end of 20 minutes, do you want to take over like what happens, what goes into the next bit?
So after the initial 20 minutes, we encourage the first lot of release. So we have a breath hold. We work up to, I give plenty of notice and we work up to a breath hold. And because we are breathing larger amounts of oxygen in and out, we're capable of holding our breath very easily for that 30 seconds. And we tense as well. And that's actually at the point where your brain starts to release all those neurochemicals like DMT and all the good stuff. And so through the breath hold and the tense, it's like a pressure pot building inside. And then I encourage the people to have a pillow nearby. And after we do the 30-second breath hold, to grab the pillow and just cover their mouth and let out a really primal scream. And this is just a massive encouragement for a release. I think, yeah, we spoke about it briefly, and my mentor described it as being like the bubbles in a carbonated drink that have settled on the exterior bottle, the surface, being dislodged and fizzing all the way up to the top of the drink and popping, So it's, if you have trauma and things that you haven't worked through, it can be really, really emotional and full on, but it's a release of, it's almost pleasure. Yeah, it's invigorating. I remember from my very first experience and everyone after, it's just refreshing. It's like shedding skin or, reducing a massive load of weight off your shoulders. And then after that first 20 minutes, as Jenna was just saying, we go into a point where that monkey mind is switched off and we have access to the subconscious mind then. And this is an opportunity, regardless of whether you're doing a group experience or a one-on-one experience where, I delve into whatever situation is that, you've requested to do a particular subject, explore a particular subject with me one-on-one. But that's the opportunity where it's basically like planting seeds, and we are filling that subconscious mind with all the goodness of what we want to be focusing on, and reprogramming or rewriting the limiting beliefs, the traumas or the experiences or the conflicting values and views, belief systems, whatever. And yeah, so that next 20-minute part of the roller coaster, do all the subconscious work. And yeah, it's amazing. And I can only speak from my personal experience, but obviously from previous clients as well. It's just amazing what shifts you can have in your perception in that time frame, and how it affects you initially. Coming out of the session straight away, you feel like a different person.
Yeah, I'll talk about that in a sec. I just want to go back to when you were saying about it's like sort of tapping a carbonated drink and those bubbles come to the surface. That's like the trauma that is stored from your past, which is affecting the way you're living your life now, even if you don't realize it. It's holding you back. It's causing you to perceive situations in a way that is unhelpful to you, like you're being triggered when you don't want to be triggered, all of those kind of things, whatever scenario, whether you're a business owner or not, this is so relevant because we've all got stuff to heal from. And I know, like, I can imagine what this breathwork experience would have been like if I had done it a year ago, 2 years ago, and it would have been very different. So, like, those emotions will come up and you'll either feel angry or upset or, you know, those will bubble to the surface, but it's incredible because it's bubbling to the surface and it's being released, right? It's free from your body and your life. And because of the next bit, Elise will then program in stuff that liberates you to help you see and perceive things differently. And what I mean by that, because it's exactly the same with hypnosis and the work I do, you literally feel different because your subconscious is reprogrammed. You are not perceiving things the way that you're perceiving them before because your belief system has shifted. And that's really powerful because when you think 95% of our thoughts and actions and reactions and everything, it's all coming from the subconscious. So if you're living life with, limiting beliefs and trauma and unhealed stuff, that's heavy. And quite often, especially with the work that I do,
it affects the way you show up every day.
Yeah, it weighs
like
heavy, and then
people are not even aware of it.
Exactly. And then you do the work and you're like, oh, I feel so much lighter. So yeah, the way I experience it, which is really, I can imagine, encouraging for you if you are doing healing work on yourself or you're considering it, is that the more work you do on yourself, the better it gets. Because if you think of it like an onion, and healing is like an onion, you peel back all the layers, you return to your true, most powerful, most empowered self that you were before you had those experiences that are weighing you down until you come to do this healing work, until you come to reprogram these limiting beliefs. So you return back to your most powerful, most empowered, most authentic self. And the relationship that you have with yourself is just a game changer. And it just gets you to experience life in the most incredible way. That's where I'm at now with my personal journey. And so I experienced it differently to, like Elise said earlier, to, her other clients that she works with. The way I experienced it, nothing bubbled up. And that's great. It's evidence of all of the work that I've done on myself. So we got to the place where there is no gas left in the carbonated drink. And to me, how I experienced it was just this incredible, like I said, my third eye was like properly activated. I was just getting so many like intuitive downloads. And it was like, so whenever I meditate, I get intuition come in, but it was like that on steroids. And yeah, it was just really, really activating in a really positive way. So yeah, I remember coming out of it. So I just remember, like, it took me a while to get up, didn't it? And to kind of come back to you. And I was like, my hearing is so, I don't know what the word is, like, I don't want to say sensitive because that has a connotation of bad, but I just felt like I could hear everything so clearly. I don't know. It was really amazing feeling. And it had this feeling, it affected me in a really good way for the rest of the day. Like I couldn't stop thinking about it. I was just like, cannot wait to have this conversation.
Yeah, I'm curious to know because I know for me too, that after effect instantly is just the way I experience it is just like copious amounts of self-worth and gratitude, and you're buzzing, you're just elated and high for hours after it, and you just, yeah. And like you said, it's like it gradually just peels you back to your true self. It's just,
Howard.
yeah, it is liberating, definitely.
Yeah.
And the other thing also, which I found really fascinating when I was doing the course to learn how to facilitate, was that they've actually proven now through studies, if you want to look it up, I believe it's called the mouse cherry blossom study or something along the lines, but they've actually proven that we carry intergenerational trauma for up to 14 generations as well. Yeah. So as Jenna was saying, although people may not have ever thought or felt that they've experienced any trauma, and I say in inverted commas, trauma in their lives, so much stuff, what we can be carrying, you're just not even aware of it,
Mm.
and it's like a blockade, it will just pop up as a hurdle in your life, and you're just used to trudging through and getting through in the way you do show up every day. But once you have these releases and this experience, yeah, it's just delicious. I love
Mm.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it really is. I actually felt really inspired to train myself. Like it was that
Really?
amazing. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe not a right now thing, but yeah, definitely. It was incredible. And I loved like, because I sent you a message about this, because it came in for me. I really wanted to pass this on to Elise and I didn't, because we're recording this 2 days after the training, and I messaged Elise and I was like, I don't want to wait till Thursday. This has just come in. I want to pass this on now. Which is like, yes, breath work is amazing, but the way Elise did it was fantastic. And I said, if ever I have a breathwork facilitator in my group program, she'll be my choice, because I just love the way that you did it specifically. Like I loved your playlist choices. I just loved how you infused you into it. It was you. It was you in every way. So yeah, it was really, really cool.
Yeah, I love that you say that too, because music is such a very large part of my life. I've played musical instruments from a very young age. And when I first initially left school, I actually enrolled in a Bachelor of Music and got sort of three-quarters of the way through it and went, yeah, I don't know if this is what I want to be doing anymore. But in saying that, I use a lot of thought, and I feel like the technique that I try to use is incorporating, it's not just songs that I like, it's part of the journey. It's part of the process of building a tempo. And especially if you've
Mm.
got earphones on, like bass lines and the sounds and everything. And it's
Yeah, it was
all
definitely a
part,
journey.
you know.
Yeah,
So
yeah, it's
so I'm
amazing.
glad that you enjoyed the playlist as well.
Have you got any questions about anything else, about how kind of I experienced it
Yeah,
from
well,
home?
I feel like I love how you were saying that your third eye was pulsating purple and everything. But yeah, how did you find integrating afterwards with all of those downloads and things? How much of it did you remember, or and like just the hours following it? Because I feel like that's, for me, when I ask for testimonials from clients, it's purely because I just want people to understand, you know, this is my business. And of course, I'm going to be, rooting for myself and, well, rooting for the breath work because it's what I do. But hearing the results from clients and people who are experiencing it gets me excited and makes me feel humbled, because I just want other people to know how life changing it can be.
Yeah, 100%. I feel exactly the same way about my work. Question. So I remember when you brought us back, I think you were asking about people's experience, and got my notepad and just scribbled down everything that came up. So yeah, I remembered it all. And yeah, so now it's just a case of acting on that intuition, and I have started to. So yeah, that's it for me. Like, yeah, totally recommend it. Whether you're at the beginning of your healing journey or far through it like me, it's a game changer for anyone at any point in their life. Can I ask you,
Yeah.
Elise, what's your mission?
Going off my life story and my experiences in my past, and being a mother now and seeing where we are going as a society in our lifestyles, I just want to be encouraging women to know that A, it's okay, and B, if anything, it's encouraged to allow yourself to feel good.
Yeah.
Feeling good, from my experience, begins with that inner healing, because we don't
100%.
allow ourselves, we
Yeah.
don't, especially women, I think particularly, we put so much pressure on ourselves,
Yeah.
and we're stuck in this masculine world, and I'm guilty as charged myself. I just, you get into that groove of things, and it's, well, personally, it was really difficult. Like I had to be really conscious about making an effort to step back and surrender and just allow because, and I know you agree just with energetics and stuff, like whatever is meant to be for us will be, but we have to surrender to it. And so for me, the big mission is just encouraging women to give themselves permission to feel good.
Yeah, 100%. And there's just so much to unlearn, isn't there? So much when you start to question things, especially like you just, start to observe the way you do things, because like I said, most of what we do is on autopilot, subconsciously run. And it's not until we observe, you're like, oh, I don't agree with that. I don't have to
Yeah.
do it that way. And it's about raising your consciousness to be different, and the way I am and the way I teach my clients to be.
Giving yourself the permission, giving
Yeah,
yourself to think differently,
100%. The way, like I said, the way I am and the way I teach my clients to be is to get to a place where you just feel so, so good. And it's not the way 99, well, no, my husband is going to pick up on me saying 99.9%, because I'm not going to be able to prove it, but it's not the way the majority of people live their lives, and I had this conversation with Louisa last week on the podcast, or a couple of weeks ago, where we were talking about mum guilt, and like, just because mum guilt is such a thrown around term now, it is a lot of people's experience, but it doesn't have to be. And if you don't want to feel mum guilt, the way to not feel that is to start to love yourself and to work on the relationship we have with yourself. And I had this conversation yesterday with a client as well about imposter syndrome. We've just started working together, and she's incredible at what she does, but she feels like an imposter. And she said something like, I guess everybody just, it's something that we've got to live with. And I said, you know what? You don't actually have to. When you do all of this healing on yourself and work on the limiting beliefs, you can get to a place where you always feel good enough, regardless. You feel good enough just because you're alive. And it's not tied to anything external. It's not tied to your job. It's not tied to how much money is in your account. It's not tied to your qualifications. It's not tied to anything. You are good enough simply because you are. And you can hear that and think, yeah, of course that's true. But there's a difference between hearing something and feeling it, so that you can embody it and live the life that way.
Yeah, it's believing it and giving yourself the permission. Like, it can sound so basic, but it is so deep. It's so much deeper than that. Exactly what you said, because we're ingrained by culture, by our upbringing, by our parents, by our experiences, absolutely every single thing that has happened to you. And then you've got the generational shit on top of it to deal with,
Yeah.
It's just exactly as you said, it's the layer upon the layer upon the layer upon the layer. And you peel them back, and it can be extremely vulnerable, and not knowing who you are anymore can be scary. But if you flip the perception and look at it as an opportunity to just question everything you believe, and then give yourself the permission to show up, not answering to your family or your partner or your culture or anything,
Yeah.
None of it. And it's just, I love that you used the word earlier, liberating. It's exactly what it is.
Yeah, 100%.
Exactly.
Amazing. Oh, what a good conversation. Is there anything you feel that's still on your heart that's not been said, Elise?
No, well, we just, like we spoke about we were talking about the actual structure of the session, and it's sort of 40 minutes worth of really extremely activated breathing. And then the last 20 minutes is a lot more relaxed, but you're still in a subconscious state. So, but it's the come down from being high, basically, and just letting you settle back into what will be reality for you afterwards. And I did get some lovely messages from the participants that did the session with us. And again, even just from you to both, the others, was completely different experiences as well for them too. And part of my mission is obviously the breath work, because it is the subconscious work, and I know you preach it all the time, but it's the foundation, because you can do all the frills and everything else. But because we are a slave to our subconscious, that 95%, until we do that work, it's why people fall off the bandwagon when they're starting new habits, because we will just always, and we beat ourselves up about it, don't we? When we have all these New Year's resolutions and things that we say we're going to do, and we revert back to our old habits and behaviors because of that subconscious. But then the other part of, and I choose to work with women particularly because that's where my heart lies and where I feel moved to, to make a difference in the world. But it's encouraging through movement as well, and I love when you jump on your stories and you've been to dancing and everything too. Like, I've had several conversations with you about what type of dancing you do and everything, because, as I said, I have a musical background, but I've always been into dance and movement, and I taught pole dancing for a short period when I was in my 20s as well. And it's the same part as, the subconscious work and giving yourself the permission, but it's in a whole different realm, to the subconscious, but the embodiment side of things. So yeah, I feel like, I want to be offering all the goodies all together, but we're out of touch with our bodies. We're so in our heads about everything. So doing the subconscious work is fantastic, but then learning to, and that's part of the somatic work. It's learning to listen. And again, something that you speak so frequently about, it's learning to listen to the cues your body is giving us. Like, our bodies are so intelligent.
Yeah.
They are, like, I've created life twice.
Yeah.
Like, how amazing. And really, and I've abused my body so much through ridiculous, yo-yo dieting and just doing all these stupid, like, partying and stuff when I was younger, and having absolutely no respect for myself and my body. And then getting to the stage where, I'm on the other side, we flip the coin now. And yeah, again, I keep coming back to that word liberating. I just feel like I want to scream it from the rooftops, like, it's okay to feel good.
Yeah.
If anything, it should be a prerequisite for yourself every day. Yeah. And you're going to have the hurdles, you're going to have the hiccups, you're going to have things that, test you and rub you up the wrong way sometimes. But when you are in, and again, it's like what you say too, like, once you've done a lot of work, the more work you do, you just sort of get to a point where, maybe you would have, X amount of time ago flipped a finger at someone if they cut you off in traffic. But you get to a point where you just sort of say, good luck to you. You can speed up to the red light, like, make there in a hurry, or they've got somewhere to go. Like, it's perspective and have
so much more relaxed. And the more you allow yourself to feel good, the easier it is to be resilient in those moments when you just feel yourself being triggered, So yeah, so good. Where can people find you, Elise, if they want to find out more?
So my preference is Instagram. I do have a Facebook account as well, but if you want to get in touch, Instagram is the best place. The handle is at breathworktherapy.co. And I have the email address if you want to shoot an email through. If you don't have Instagram, I don't know many people that don't, but if you don't have Instagram, the email address is just info@breathworktherapy.co. And
did you have a lead magnet you wanted to share with anybody?
I think if people are interested, and we've sparked a little bit of curiosity, I do have a condensed breathwork experience. It's literally, I think it's 3 minutes or 3.5 minutes, a bit of a taster of the breathwork that Jenna is talking about that we did, what we do in the longer sessions. So if your clients, your listeners, I should say, would like to DM me, Bigger Than You, and I know that you're from the podcast, then I can shoot you through the details.
Cool.
To try it out.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Elise.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for joining. As always, if you found it interesting, please share it with a friend or let me know your thoughts. Go and give Elise a follow on Instagram and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Bigger Than You podcast. If you found it valuable, please forward it to others who you think might benefit from listening, and be sure to subscribe to get the new episodes when they release. And if you're listening on iTunes, please leave a rating or a review, as it really helps the show to grow. You can find me on LinkedIn, Jenna Holloway, or on TikTok and Instagram, and my handle is @IamJennaHolloway. And you can find links to whatever we cover in the show notes. Thank you for listening, and see you next time.